Welcome to this explainer. We're going to fundamentally upgrade how you interact with AI today. Now, if you use Claude, you already know it's an incredibly powerful tool. But getting it to do exactly what you want on the very first try, well, that can be a real challenge. So today, we're unpacking Troiana's highly actionable framework for transforming your AI outputs and, most importantly, saving you some seriously valuable time. Because, look, let's be honest with ourselves. We've all been there. Are you completely tired of generic AI rewrites and endless clarifying chats? You know the drill. You type in a prompt, you hit enter, and you just sit there staring at this completely generic, buzzword-filled rewrite. You instantly know you're about to spend the next 20 minutes arguing with a chatbot in an endless clarifying loop just to get what you actually wanted in the first place. It's frustrating, and it is a massive drain on your productivity. So, here is our roadmap for today. 1. The blank slate problem. 2. The 4-part prompt formula. 3. When to actually use the formula. And 4. Mistakes and advanced mastery.
Let's kick things off with section 1, the blank slate problem.
Okay, so to get better outputs, it is absolutely crucial to remember that every single time you open a new chat, you are facing a total blank slate. Claude starts with zero memory of who you are or what you're doing. Think about it. It doesn't know your company's style guide, it doesn't know your target audience, and it certainly has no idea what you were working on yesterday. That initial text box, it's a complete vacuum of context.
And this brings us to a brilliantly stated point by Troiana. Quote, "The first message is the entire world it reasons from." I want you to really let that framing sink in for a second. You aren't just asking a question to a database. You are essentially functioning as a world builder. Your initial message literally creates the entire universe Claude will reason from. And if you build a vague world, well, Claude's going to give you vague answers. Moving right along to section 2, the 4-part prompt formula. So how do we fix this? To turn that cold start into a highly useful one, you want to follow this exact 4-part order. First, assign a role. Tell Claude exactly who it should act as. Second, provide the context. Explain what you're doing so it understands the bigger picture. Third, set strict constraints. This one is vital. Tell it the format, the length, and the must-nots, the stuff it should absolutely avoid doing at all costs. And finally, deliver your ask, precisely what you want it to output. Remember that sequence: role, context, constraints, ask. Let's look at the difference this actually makes in practice. A bare task, like just dropping in a paragraph and typing, "fix this," that's going to yield sluggishness and generic buzzwords. Compare that to a structured task. By providing just a little bit of upfront ceremony using our 4 steps, you drastically contrast that sluggishness against the incredible sharpness of a structured request, one that delivers exactly what you need on the very first try. For example, applying the formula to a fintech copy editor scenario guarantees a perfectly focused edit. Look at a prompt like this. You are a copy editor for a fintech blog. Keep it plain and non-hyped, tighten this paragraph. Boom, you have the role, the context, the constraints, and the ask all cleanly packed into one single sentence. Doing this up front prevents a dozen frustrating round trips trying to fix a tone that was never even defined in the first place. All right, section 3, when to use the formula. Now, you should absolutely invest the time in this framing for the opening message of non-trivial or high-stakes tasks. Basically, the more specific the output you need, the more this framework pays off. However, you can go ahead and skip this entirely for quick, factual questions or casual chats. In those cases, the whole ceremony of building a world is actually way slower and more cumbersome than just asking the simple question. And that brings us to section 4, mistakes and advanced mastery. Even with a great system, there are some pretty common traps you'll want to avoid. First off, don't open with a bare task and then spend your next 5 messages adding the context you could have just led with. Second, make sure you don't assign a role without constraints. If you say act like a marketer but give 0 constraints, the tone and length are going to be a total coin flip. And lastly, avoid writing massive paragraphs of role-play backstory that add fun flavor but provide no actual actionable signal for the AI. Keep it tight, keep it focused. Once you've got this down, here is your advanced power move. When you find yourself successfully pasting the exact same setup over and over, say for your weekly reports or your code reviews, graduate that framing into a Claude project. By doing this, your carefully crafted context, that world you built, becomes permanently active. You do the heavy lifting exactly once, and Claude perfectly understands your world every single time you log in. It's a real game changer. So, with Troiana's four-part formula now firmly in your toolkit, you literally have the power to shape the AI's entire reality from the very first keystroke. You've officially moved from just hoping for a good output to actually engineering a great one. So, the next time you sit down to start a brand new chat, I want you to ask yourself, what world will you build today? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and enjoy your new, highly efficient workflow.